everybody's VAVs and its positive attitude, which is great. But it's impossible for me to give a speech about my beliefs, attitudes, and values without sharing my faith. And I also believe in freedom of speech and the freedom of choice. The freedom of choice being that typically you wouldn't have to stay here and listen if you didn't agree with me. And that choice has been taken away from you today, but I still have to do what I feel is true and believe it. So I'll do my best not to be preachy, but I want you to understand that my VAVs are based on the BIBLE. Now that I have you all squirming, I'll show you specifically what I'm going to be talking about. My grandchildren. I believe in grandchildren. This is Josephine, Serenity, Sammy, and Taylor. Did you write that down? There will be a test. No. Okay. Now, everybody heard the Webster's Dictionary, but I'll be real quick. A firm acceptance of a thing as true, but it's listed as a noun. But in the Bible, the word believe is translated from the Greek word pistivo, which is a verb. According to Strong's Greek dictionary, it means to have faith in, upon, or with respect to a person or thing. Pistivo comes from the Greek noun pistis, which means persuasion, credence, or moral conviction. So I see belief as an action word. It's a moral conviction that results in actions or results of changes in your life. And I specifically believe in grandchildren. I've been a grandparent for 7 years now, and I think it's like the best thing that ever happened to me. I believe that children are a blessing no matter how they get here. Not one of my grandchildren were born under perfect circumstances with perfect relationships or perfect families. But they're all great, and they've all been a blessing to all of us. And I like to enjoy them by, going to the zoo or even just taking a walk around the block at night with a flashlight and listening to the trees. They heighten your appreciation for life. I would love to see our society rethink the cultural belief that life doesn't begin until birth. It would have been easier and more convenient for everyone involved if none of these children had been born. But in fact, the last one, Sammy, he even challenged my beliefs. I had to resolve back, do I believe that this child should be born? With tears in my eyes, I had to tell my daughter, yeah. Attitudes. Webster Dictionary defines attitude as a manner of showing one's feelings or thoughts. Whenever I hear that, I think of somebody going, you got an attitude. Okay? And I have had to deal with my own attitudes. One of the ways was these children, grandchildren. You notice they're different colors. This brought out a lot of things in me that sometimes I didn't know were even inside of me. Prejudices that I had that I didn't realize. And some of those prejudices were taught to me. Some of them were a result of things that I experienced myself. When I was a child, I was poor, and people made fun of you for being poor sometimes. But God helped me to deal with that. And then when my grandchildren were born, He helped me to understand that to look through other people's eyes, and are other people looking down at my grandchildren because they might be a little bit different shade of color of their skin. And so it's helped me to realize some of those things in my own life and try to deal with them and try to be better about that. Values. The freedictionary.com defines values as a principle, standard, or quality considered worthwhile or desirable. According to latinword.com, the Latin word for value is pretium. Pretium is defined as price, value, or reward. I define value as a principle that's worthwhile and also rewarding. I value my grandchildren, and I find great rewards in being with them. They give me love and concern and care that maybe someone else wouldn't even notice. I have to be careful if I'm in the kitchen and they're in the other room and I go, ow, I hear, are you okay, Grandma? And I'm like, yeah, I'm fine, And they're just great. Their innocence needs to be guarded, just like a seed that you planted in the ground. Now let's use that analogy a little bit. If the child is the seed, let's say the mother is the ground, the father is the water, and voila, the grandparents are the light. So we're there to help them grow and nurture them also. And if any of you know how your own grandparents are, their face lights up when you go to see them, right? They love you. When I was engaged, I went through marriage counseling, and the minister said, well, have you guys decided about children? This is true. I hadn't really thought about it because I didn't really care so much about kids. I wasn't the person that always wanted to hold everybody's babies. I didn't even babysit other kids. I never even played with dolls. So when he asked me about kids, I was like, well, I didn't really think about it. But he forced me to think about it, and I said, well, I know my mom really appreciates her grandchildren. So that was how I based my decision about having kids, is that I wanted to be a grandparent. So whatever you truly value, you will give priority to it. You'll make the necessary sacrifices of time, energy, money, attention, love, all of those things. You'll make those sacrifices if it's something that is truly important and you value. In conclusion, I would love to see our society value children as a blessing and not a burden to be aborted, abused, or abandoned. After the death of my mother, I went into a little bit of a slump. I won't say I was clinically depressed, but I certainly didn't get too excited about anything. But when Josephine was born, the song in my heart came back alive. So I really feel that all of my grandchildren are a great blessing. Now, here we go. We are all born simple and selfish. Having children and grandchildren is a way of forcing you to put someone else's needs above your own. They are loving and trusting and fun. Children are not born with any prejudices or hate. They see the simplicity of nature and they wonder in it. They are happy to just have a hug and a bowl of cereal in the morning. And they teach us as grandparents how to, again, to love, trust, and have fun.